Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series on VLSI design. So in the previous lecture we had started off with testing and verification, and we had looked in terms of how we can verify in terms of the logical part. So basically we had discussed on how actually the logical verification is being done in terms of HDLs, and we had looked in terms of different types of current scenarios such as system verilog and code coverage. What do you mean by code coverage, and then what do you mean by functional coverage, and all those things we had discussed in the previous lecture. So in the today's lecture we shall look in terms of manufacturing test principles. So once the logical verification is being done, so once a designer and a verification engineer is ready with that, so that the design is completely all right and the design is completely bug free, so that the design can be manufactured. So once the design goes into the manufacturing process, again we need to verify. Once the product comes out from the fabrication, we need to verify whether the product which has been developed in the fabrication, whether it is going to be working fine or not. There are some errors might occur in terms of manufacturing also. uh, so those what and all types of errors might occur, and how actually the testing is being done once the product comes out of the fabrication, that we are going to discuss. Because uh, in the previous lecture we had looked in terms of what might be the cost to the company whenever whenever we find out a bug, right? So we had seen that in terms of fab itself, in terms of silicon design itself, the cost to the company or the loss to the company is very much less when it is compared with the once the product reaches to the customer. So let us look into what types of error might occur in terms of manufacturing test principles. Okay. So the purpose of manufacturing test is to screen out most of the defective parts before they are shipped to the customers. Because once the product reaches to the customer, it should be what? It should be a complete bug-free product. So what might be the errors after manufacturing process? Now you can look over here. This is what we call bridging defect. Now here you can observe that here there is a formation of bridging between two different wires. Okay, so this is one different wire and this is one more different wire which has been developed, but due to these errors might occur, these errors might not occur in all the boards, but there are some few boards. Okay, once or there are some few ICs which have been developed, there we might find out such type of errors. Okay, it is this particular if you are looking at this particular diagram, you can surely tell that those two different wires have been shorted. Okay, so this is one of the error we call shorting between two different. Here the gap which was been there, it has been covered because of some of the manufacturing defect. So we call such type of defect as bridging defect. Okay, so here in the previous this thing we had seen that there is a formation, or as you can see, uh, extra wiring has been done over there, so that the two different wires have been shorted. Okay, there are some errors, some errors here you can observe in the second diagram. The connection has not been made over here. The connection has to be there, but because of some defect here, uh, the wiring has not been done at this particular point. So this is open. This has to be shorted, but this is open, whereas this should not be shorted, it is being shorted. So these are different types of errors. Okay, so one more, let us look in terms of here. Here in these two different examples, we had seen that the errors which are there here, there is a formation of extra line which is being getting shorted, and then here it is being open. The connection has not been made at all. Okay, and here you can observe these are at the contact points. Okay, so we'll be having some contact points, right, in terms of inputs and then outputs and all those things. So here you can observe, here the connection is not at all correct at this particular point over here. The connection has to be made till it reaches this particular point, contact point over here, but it has not been reached. So this is what this is, something like it is an open port, right? So at this particular point, you are supposed to get what we were supposed to get, either 0 or 1, either logic 0 or logic 1, but we'll be getting it as what? We'll be getting it as unknown, that is our logic X, or we'll be getting it as high impedance. Most of the time we'll be getting high impedance. Okay, so why? Because all the open ports what we'll be getting, those will be kept in terms of high impedance. The designing will be done in terms of like that only. Okay, if the port is open, then you give it as high impedance. If the input which is coming in terms of zeros and ones, where it cannot find out whether it is a 0 or whether it is a 1, at that particular time we call it as unknown. Okay, now here you can observe the contact has not been made, but at this, if you test at this particular point, we will be getting what? We'll be getting a high impedance value since it is an open port. Okay, and here you can observe the etching has been done over here. These particular types of errors what you are having, this etching part what we are having, this particular errors, these are the errors which might occur due to human errors. Okay, like not handling properly, whenever they are removing it from the fabrication machine, there might be some possibilities that it might get touched with some of the needles or and all those things, so that the etching might happen. So these are the different types of defects what we can. There are so many other defects. Just for example, we have taken these particular defects which are most common defects what we can observe. Okay, so how to test these particular, we have seen the different types of defects what we can observe, but how do we come to know that uh, there is a error at this particular point? So in order to get to know what is happening in terms of how to find out the defects, that we can see in terms of fault models. How does actually a chip fail? Usually by, as we have seen in terms of what you can say, in terms of logical verification what we had observed, how actually we are going to verify our design by giving the inputs, right? So what and all are the possible combination of inputs what we are having, we are going to give those particular inputs to our design, and then we are going to verify our output whether the design what we are having it is behaving properly or not. In the similar fashion, here also, once the IC is being ready and then if it is come out from the fab, again we need to test by giving some of the inputs. Okay, so usually, as we have seen in terms of logical verification, we were having EDA tools, where EDA tools will take care of deriving all those inputs and all those things. If you look at the 2 raised to 32, what might be the possible combination of inputs we are having? As we had seen in the previous lecture, we had seen something like 10 to the power 9. Even for checking one possible combination, for checking one combination, if we take somewhere around 1 microsecond, 10 to the power 9, it might lead us to some of the years. Okay, that should not happen, right? So here once the logical verification is being done, at that time we have made sure that it is going to work perfectly fine in terms of all the possible of input combinations. But here in the manufacturing fault models, what we are going to do, we are going to drive zeros and ones. Okay, so that zeros and ones is nothing but stuck at models, what we have, what we call the, okay, we call a simple model, it is a simpler module, we call it as stuck at. That stuck at might be what, it might be a stuck at 0 or it might be a stuck at 1. Okay, so that is nothing but the some particular nodes will be shorted to ground or some particular nodes will be shorted to VDD. Here this does not hold good for all the input combinations, but in practice this particular model works very well. Okay, most of the errors will be removed by using our stuck at models. Okay, now let us look what actually these are stuck at fault. Now you can observe there are totally two different types of faults. One is stuck at 1, that is the input what we are having, it is being stuck at. These stuck at faults are basically where it is going to happen, it is going to happen only at the input end. Okay, or some wiring what we are having, that might be connected to VDD or that might be connected to ground. So most of the time the stuck at models will be verified at the input, the input combinations what we are having, it will be verified at that particular level. Now here you can observe that stuck at 1 is nothing but that particular input combination, that particular input port will be connected to VDD. So it is being connected to what? It is being connected to VDD. Such type of errors, what we can call it is it as stuck at 1. Okay. In the similar fashion, if some of the input ports what we are having, it is being connected to ground, it is being shorted to ground, then we call that particular port as stuck at 0. Here you can observe that here at this particular point you can observe this particular input port out of these two AND gate and the NOR gate combination, this particular input port is being shorted to what? It is being shorted to VDD. We call such thing as what? We call such thing as what? Stuck at 1. Here you can observe at this particular end that it is being stuck at 1. In the similar fashion, if you look at this particular point, this particular input port is being shorted to ground, we call that thing as what? It is being stuck at 0. Okay, so these faults most frequently occur, okay, due to gate oxide shorts, right? So it is totally dependent on the layouts what we had derived. So in terms of physical design, so these errors might occur at that particular end. Okay, so due to gate oxide shorts, that is the NMOS gate to ground and the PMOS gate to VDD or metal to metal shorts. Now one more is short circuit and open circuit fault. Here you can observe that here this particular point what we are having here, these particular, here you can observe this thing as this is a input. Okay, and this particular point what we are having, this is particularly what it is, our output metal, and this is my polysilicon over here. This polysilicon is nothing but my input A. Now as we know, most of the layouts what we are having, it is being done in terms of what? Lambda based rules. There are possibilities, right? uh, the DRC might, even though the DRC might have passed, okay, there are possible errors from the fabrication device itself, that the what the space between this particular metal and then this polysilicon, it has not been maintained properly. At that particular time, what it is going to consider is that this particular point what we are having, these particular 2 points are being shorted. Okay, in the similar fashion here we can observe in terms of what, in terms of short circuit to the ground. As you, when once if this particular input A is being shorted, that means what, A is being shorted to this particular point over here, the output point, right? So this instead of getting this particular input, these two lines what we are having over here, which is getting connected to C and D, and the output line what we are having, both the things are being shorted. In the similar fashion here, input A and then this particular ground is being shorted. So these type of errors we can find out in terms of what, in terms of stuck-at model. This is what this is an example for short circuit. In the similar fashion, here you can observe an example for what, an example for open circuit. As you can see, this is a layout for a NOR gate. Okay, if you look at NOR gate expression, what we are going to have, we are going to have negation of A or B, right? Now here this is the output port which is being connected, right? But here, due to manufacturing defect, this metal has not been shorted over here. Now this is an open thing. Okay, instead of getting negation of A or B, this particular circuit what we are having, it is going to work in terms of negation of A or B, or negation B and Z bar. Okay, so here you can observe the equivalent circuit what we are having. You can observe the equivalent circuit over here. Instead of getting, I'm getting a totally different circuit over here. Okay, so these are the different types of errors what we can observe in terms of once the uh, product what we are going to have, it is being ready, we can observe these type of particular errors. Now let us look in terms of observability. So observability in the sense, it is the degree to which you can observe that node at the outputs of an integrated circuit. Okay, here in the sense like whether you can observe those inputs, that you'll be giving some inputs to the ICs which has which has come from fab, and you can observe whether you are getting proper output or not. The observability what you are having, that is nothing but the observability. Ease of observing a node by watching external output pins of the chip. Here we are not looking in terms of internal design. Here actually we are looking in terms of the whether the pins what we are having. Okay, if we have developed any IC, if the pins, the by giving the internal by giving what, by giving the inputs, external inputs, and observing external output pins whether it is going to work fine or not. So that is what, that is the observability. And controllability is nothing but what, by setting some particular the input nodes what we are having, we are going to give, anyhow we are going to give the input to either logic or logic 1 or logic 0, but by setting that node particular point, or the particular input pin to logic 0 or logic 1 for certain amount of time, or forcing those particular pins to logic 0 or logic 1, that is nothing but whether you have that control over the input ports. Okay, what type of inputs what you can derive or what you can give, that control whether we are having or not, that is nothing but controllability. In the similar fashion, repeatability. So repeatability in the sense whether you have given something like logic 1 for that some particular input port, whether you can repeatedly give that particular the same input to that same input port whether that particular input port is going to respond properly or not. That is nothing but my repeatability. Okay, survivability is nothing but what? Survivability is nothing but there some at the some end, whether there might be possibilities that um, some particular input port is not at all working. Okay, even though the input port is not working, but still whether your IC what you have designed, whether it is going to sustain or not, or whether um, by totally not depending on that particular input, whether the IC which we have developed it is going to work properly or not. That is nothing but my survivability. Fault coverage is nothing but what? The amount of faults what we have covered once the ICs have come out of the thing. So this particular fault coverage, let us look in terms of example over here. As you can see, at the right hand side we are having a circuit. The circuit comprises of two different NAND gates, and then inverter and a NOR gate. And these NAND gates and then NOR gates have been given to some particular inputs. Now how actually we are going to work? As we had said, most of the faults are covered in terms of stuck at 1 and then stuck at 0. And here you can observe over here, as we have said, most of the stuck at ones are at these particular input ports. Okay, here we are having a line, but this path what we are having, it is an input to this particular NAND gate. In the similar way, this N3 is also an input for this NAND gate, and N2 is also input for this NAND gate. So what type of input combinations I can derive, or what type of input combinations I can give, so that I can make these particular input points to be stuck at 1 or stuck at 0. Okay, now if I let us see that if I want to check my whether A3 is being stuck at 1 or stuck at 0, what is the input combination I can give? If it is stuck at 1, the input combination I can give as 0 1 1 0. Okay, in the similar fashion, if I want to check whether it is going to work in terms of stuck at 0, I can give it as what? I can give it as 1 1 1 0. In the similar fashion, if I want to check for A2, I'll be giving what? 1 0 1 0 as my input combination, and in order to check stuck at 0, I'll be giving the same input combinations. Okay, in the similar fashion, A1, these are the different input combinations what we can give for all these inputs. Okay, we are here, we should not be stick to only these particular inputs, as we have seen over here, A3 A2 A1 A0. Okay, for checking these inputs we had derived these particular inputs in order to check whether this particular point is at stuck at 1. So what might be the input combinations I can give at this particular point? This A3 A2 A1 A0 what we are having, in order to check this particular point, what is the possible combination of inputs what I can give, so that I can find out this particular node what we are having, that is N1 is being stuck at 1. So as you can see, this is the possible combination of input combinations what I can give it to the circuit. Okay, in the similar fashion, in order to check N2, this is the input combination what we are having. In order to check my N3, this is the input combination. In the similar fashion, I need to check even for my output port. Okay, so this is the possible input combinations. Here, as you can observe, most of the input combinations have been repeated. Okay, so by taking only the unique inputs what we can give for that thing, so the minimum set of input combinations in order to check the stuck at 1 and then stuck at 0 for the whole circuit, this these are the different types of input combinations. Here as you can observe, the number of input combinations are totally 6 input combinations. By giving 6 input combinations, I can check all the inputs whether they are getting stuck at 0 or whether they are getting stuck at 1. Okay, so as you can observe, since here the number of ports, input ports are 4, in order to check all the possible combination inputs, I need to cover what 2 raised to 4. 2 raised to 4 is nothing but 16 different input combinations. Instead of going for 16 different input combinations, I can cover the stuck at 1 and then stuck at 0 by driving only 6 different combinations. I can cover all the lines, all the inputs to all the gates, whether they are stuck at 1 or stuck at 0. Okay, so that is why stuck at models are very much are widely used to check whether the circuit is going to be, the IC is going to work fine or not. Okay, so one more possible different types of testing the IC is automatic test pattern generation. So if you look at this, so I'll be giving different types of input combination. I'll be giving different type of input combination. For that input, what might be the possible input combinations? We will be storing the outputs, possible outputs in a output comparator. Okay, so the input patterns will be given to the chip. Okay, the output responses will be compared with the stored responses. Okay, so only the input combinations which have been stored, only those particular input combinations will be checked. Okay, so it is going to check, suppose if you are given any one of the input, it is going to, once the outputs are being produced, those particular outputs will be checked through the stored responses by using comparators. Okay, if the input if the stored responses are okay with the output combination, then what it will do, it will pass that particular input combination. Okay, so here uh, what actually we can do is we are automating the thing. Okay, so how actually we are automating the thing? By giving extra circuit in order to check that thing. So where it is going to test by itself, since we have already fed the possible output combinations, or the what are the possible outputs which will be derived. So those particular things are being what are being compared with the outputs which have been generated. So it is going to test automatically. So since it is testing the outputs automatically, what we can call this thing as, what we can call this particular thing as automatic test pattern generation. Okay, so this is all regarding manufacturing test principles, how actually we are going to test. So in this particular session we had discussed on different types of stuck models, what are the different types of short circuit we can observe, and what are the different types of open circuits we can observe, and how actually we are going to derive in terms of input combinations, where we can uh, test the whole circuit whether it is going to work, whether it is working fine or not. Okay, so further in terms of all these things, we are having one more topic, that is design for testability. So here also we are having, as we had seen in the last slide, we had looked in terms of automatic test pattern generation, where it is going to test the output responses by storing, it is going to compare in terms of the stored output responses. It is going to compare the responses which have been generated. So based on that, it was going, so it is going to automate the thing. So here in design for testability, we will be looking in terms of different types of automated techniques. Okay, so which are in which they are going to test by themselves. Those are the, so what and all are those different types of techniques, what are available, that we are going to discuss in the next class. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.